loving in the world, living together as one, under the golden sun, living together as one, under the golden sun. Blow Makani, cleanse my soul. Blow Makani, cleanse my soul. Away, away, so much loving in the world. Away, away, so much loving in the world. Living together as one, under the golden sun. Living together as one, under the golden sun. Blow Makani, cleanse my soul. Blow Makani, cleanse my soul. Away, away, so much loving in the world. Away, away, so much loving in the world. Living together as one, under the golden sun. Living together as one, under the golden sun. Blow Makani, cleanse my soul. Blow Makani, cleanse my soul.
One more.
Aloha.
Aloha. Welcome everyone to Center for Spiritual Living, Kauai. Our wonderful announcement lady, Michelle, is in New Mexico, my old stomping
another
ground.
CSL,
At another
Kauai.
CSL. Anyway, so we are just going to give you a few announcements. I'm Reverend Rita, and this is Reverend Patrick, if you don't know us already. And if you take your program and look at the back, everything you'll hear pretty much and more is on the back of that program. So make sure to keep it if you want to know what is going on, or subscribe to our email, which you can do out front, and you'll always know what's going on. So one of the first things we want to tell you about is that next week is New Member Sunday, which means we'll be welcoming new members, and we do that a few times a year. And so if you're interested at all in becoming a member of the center, which basically means that you've made a commitment to yourself. A commitment is so important. And sometimes you need to have a support system to make that commitment. So it means that you've made a commitment to yourself for your spiritual growth, and that you've chosen CS Center for Spiritual Living Kauai as your spiritual home, basically. So, and that you've agreed to support that and to be part of that and to just enjoy the community here. So if you're interested, you could talk to Patrick or I, or you could take a form in the back and let us know, all right? And that'll be next Sunday.
The next week we have the Mindful Men's Treehouse. One of these days we're going to actually have a treehouse. I'm going to let you know right off the bat there. And the women in consciousness will stay right here. Not that we're not conscious over there, but we are separate. We're mindful. There you go. So that's happening next week. Make sure to bring a treat, men. Both men and women.
And then one other thing we want to make you aware of is that we do have every year a Thanksgiving Eve service. So it's a gratitude circle, and it's more meditative and sharing and music and that sort of thing. So please, if you can, come to that Thanksgiving Eve
It's
service.
always really
Get a little
special.
time away from your cooking if that's what you're doing. And,
And
yeah.
they have poo-poos, of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
and yeah, we're going to have a poo-poo potluck that night. So you can always ask part of the Malama team if you have any questions about anything. You could talk to us and just enjoy
Malama team,
the
are you there?
service.
Can you just, Malama team's back there. There's Deb,
Deb.
there's Anna in the back. Where's our other Malama? There she is.
Yeah.
There's that.
Angela,
Very good.
yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, they're here. They're here to answer any of your questions. So, with that taken care of, do you have anything else to say?
That's it.
All right. So, check your program, like we said. So let's just take a deep breath and bring ourselves right here and right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a time every week, and we've been doing it for quite a while, that we light our peace candle. And under the situation, some of the events that went on this week, I wanted to just add something that I found from Ernest Holmes. And Ernest Holmes wrote this, and I wanted to do this as we light the peace candle. He wrote this in 1959, when there was a lot of things going on. World War II, the Holocaust, the Great Depression, all of this. And these words of encouragement came out of his mouth in 1959 at Asilomar. And I thought it would be appropriate to read it today as we light our peace candle. And this is what he has to say. The world is undergoing the death throes of an old order and the travail of a new birth. And whether or not it remains suspended in a state of indeterminate coma or passes immediately into heaven as the divine promise will depend entirely upon how many of its ancient corpses it is willing to loose. It is as certain as the laws of nature are immutable that someday this transition will take place. Someday the world will be reborn, resurrected into a consciousness of unity, cooperation, and yes, a collective security. So let's just take a moment right here and give peace for our wonderful, wonderful planet, and for our brothers and sisters that suffered this week in Texas, and all of their families and friends and everyone, and all of us here, to remind them that love is present. And so it is.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everyone. It does make a difference. So, welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Kauai again, and where we practice the science of mind and spirit. And it is a science because our minds are powerful, and we do think into a creative medium that answers our thoughts, that brings us back exactly what we are thinking. And this is a hard thing for some people to maybe grasp, or could be, but it is also the most powerful thing I have ever learned in my life, that I could actually look from a higher place of consciousness and through things that happen, instead of looking at them like they're the only reality, that there is a higher reality behind anything happening in the world. And the more I can see that higher reality, that God expressing itself through each and every person, the more the events in the world change, and the events in my own life, especially in my own life. So that's what we practice here at the Science of Mind and Spirit. Yes.
And we are very glad you're here. Even though every moment is a new moment, I know you've all been here for the first time, William. I just thought that yes, I love breaking people's paradigms. But who is here for the very first time, never been here before, and has walked through our doors? Oh, there you are. There's 3, 4, 5. Wow. And William is joining you in the back as well. But here's the deal. I bet you don't know this part of it, but we know something about you that we want to just remind you of and share with you. I bet you wonder how we knew it. Yeah, first off. But here we go. I think we should let him know what we know, and shall we? You are magnificent. And he is relieved that that's what it was. No. I knew I'd get a laugh out of you. But there's something else going on, right? You see this gentleman in the back, where his name is Rob, and every week he allows us to go from this room out into the world. And we have people as far as Germany, all over the place, watching this live, or if you leave the island, you can get it on YouTube and watch it then too. So we are available. So we are here, and we know something about them as well, do we not? You are magnificent. Now, it's a lot of work, right? But fun work. Look to the left, to the right. Somebody say that you're magnificent to somebody. And there's Ruth. You're magnificent. Magnificent. There we go. You are magnificent. Maria's magnificent.
Maria's magnificent.
You're magnificent. Louise magnificent.
All right.
So I think it's time we all stand up together and have our opening song from a place of magnificence. What do you say? Yes?
I've got peace like a river, peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, and it flows like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, and it flows like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, and it flows like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.
Yes, we have joy, we have love, we have peace right where we are. We don't have to go anywhere looking for it. It is right here in the essence of our being, in that heart center. There is only peace, there is only love, there is only joy, there is only beauty. I know that for myself and for each and every person here and for all of creation. There is that spirit within us which sings and sings no matter what is occurring. It is singing loudly in our hearts and saying, come home, come home, come home. And I know that is what we do today. We come home. We come home to that place and we share that with each other as we move through this service, as we move through this wonderful time of community that comes after, all of it. We are sharing that home space within us with each other and lifting each other up. And by doing that, we're lifting the whole world up. I know that. I claim that. I announce it. And I know it's so. And I give gratitude in advance for everything that happens here today, knowing it is the truth and it is beautiful and it is good. So knowing that and being thankful, I simply release my word. I let it go. I place it into law, letting it go and letting it be as we affirm together. And so it is.
like a river, peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, and it flows like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got love like an ocean, and it flows like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain, and it flows like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Roseanne Jones, and I'm here to lead us into a little meditation time, that quiet time where each of us can go within and feel that source within. And I have a seed thought to take you in, if you choose, to this quiet space. And the seed thought is from the words of Jesus. And this is from the book of Mark in the New Testament. And the words are, "Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Enjoy your time. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. As you slowly return to this space, what I know is that there is only one. There is one power, one source, one spirit, one love. And this is the irresistible force of the universe that started everything. And that irresistible force is working in and through everything, every person. It is the very thing that keeps your heart beating and that you breathe in and out. It is the force of the universe, and we can call that force God or spirit or source. It doesn't matter, but it is the one. And each of us is living in this one mind. And what I know is that this force is a force for good, for creation, for health, for prosperity, for all great things, for joy, for beauty. And this source is what each of us can recognize working in and through us, and know that we can turn to this source and in our consciousness say the words of what each of us wants in our lives. And so I declare right now that for each of us, we have all perfection in our lives. We have that prosperity, the perfect health, the perfect love, the perfect joy, the perfect beauty, all the good things right here and right now. And the key to all of this is belief, faith, acceptance. It's all right here for each of us. But take that key and open up all of your blessings. Take that faith and belief, and the blessings are there. I am so grateful for this and knowingness, and knowing that this is how we stand in our power, each of us. And so with these words, I ask you to affirm together what we say, to release it to the law, and affirming, and so it is.
I'm here to remind you
This chant is in your program.
of your magnificence, to help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved. I'm here to remind you of your magnificence and help you awake to all the wonder that you are. I long to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you how much you're truly loved.
Mahalo, Roseanne. It's kind of a mellow day today. There's an energy here that's very soothing, and I'm feeling that anyway. So sometimes we're like loud and we're jumping all around and we're like kind of just dancing in this flow today, and I think that's fine. That's good. I'm glad we are. So today is about prayer. And we've titled it "The Answer to the Prayer is in the Prayer," which is basically a quote from The Science of Mind and Ernest Holmes. And if you don't know who Ernest Holmes is, he's a 20th century mystic and teacher and the founder of Science of Mind and Spirit. And he doesn't call himself a revelator, he just says he put things together, which he did. And if you were here on Wednesday night, or you can get it on YouTube, it's there, Reverend Patrick gave a whole dissertation on Ernest Holmes. So, yeah, the answer to the prayer is in the prayer. And the reason for that is because cause and effect are one thing. Cause is effect. Cause flows from effect. So when we pray, if you noticed how Roseanne was praying and how I prayed at the beginning of this service, we pray from the place of the solution, from the place of the affirming of what is really true. Like I said at the beginning, we don't look at something and say that that's the truth. We look beyond it to the greater reality, which is that God, love, source, whatever you want to call it, is in everything. So when we pray, we're praying from that place. So the answer to the prayer is in the prayer. Now, if any of you read my blog, I have a blog that I write. I wrote about a dream that I had. I hope I'm not repeating it for too many people. I don't think so. I wrote about a dream that I had a few nights ago that was really quite interesting. I had a dream I was in a car, or van actually, with a friend and Patrick, and we were driving down the road, and the friend was not paying attention. She was driving, and all of a sudden we found ourselves at the edge of a cliff. And we started to go up into the air. Have you ever had dreams like that? And off the cliff. And in my normal dreams, I would have just woken up from that dream. I'm getting kind of goosebumps talking about it. But for some reason in this dream, well, I know what the reason is. In this dream, I said, no, this doesn't have to be so. Let's treat. So we started treating, and then I don't even remember what we said, but all of a sudden the van went back onto the road, lented gently, and we just started driving. It came to a stop, and we all looked at each other and we went, prayer works. So this is a metaphor for me, because what it's telling me is that no matter what the situation that we're in, there's a greater reality, and we can change our thought in any moment and walk toward the greater reality. We don't have to succumb to whatever it is. Now, that's not about willpower. That's just about, it's not about trying to make something work or look all over the place for the answer. It's just about a letting go, basically a letting go and a knowing of the truth, which is no matter what is occurring, there is a greater reality. And that reality is love, it is truth, it is peace, it is safety, it is all that is good. So we have a question in our textbook that says, are prayer and treatment the same? Because we call our form of prayer spiritual mind treatment. Well, they're the same in that we're getting in touch with a power within us. We all do that when we pray, no matter who we are. If we pray the Christian way or the Jewish way or whatever way, we're all getting in touch with that power within us. But where it's not the same is that we don't beseech. We don't ask. We know. That's the difference between what we call regular prayer. Is one better than the other? No. You know why? Because it's done unto us as we believe, as that quote from the Bible said. It's done unto us as we believe. So if we're saying a prayer and we truly believe, no matter how we're praying, in reality, we're praying all the time. We are praying all the time because we're thinking all the time. Get that? So we're walking through life, we're having thoughts and thinking, and the ones that have the most power behind them are the ones we truly believe, and we keep thinking over and over and over. So we are praying all the time. So that's why it's so powerful to have a form of prayer that allows you to go back to center. That's what prayer does to me. It takes me back to center. So if my mind is going off, I get the opportunity to bring my mind, my awareness back to center, which is that God is all there is, life is all there is, and that's it. It's so affirming. It's so helpful to know that, because I know sometimes we get caught up in the world. I talk about that all the time. We get caught up in the world out there and what's happening, and we start spinning with the world. And now I have an opportunity to bring myself back to center. And we shouldn't, for me, I shouldn't just be doing this when I'm having a problem. I should be doing it all the time. Every time I feel my mind going off center, I should bring my mind back. And eventually it gets easier and easier to bring our minds back to center. And it is not a controlling thing, like I said. It is not a difficulty or trying to control our thoughts. It's majorly just knowing. It's knowing. And it should feel peaceful and loving. It shouldn't feel like a strain at all. So I heard this, when this thing happened in Texas, something else happened, right? Again, somebody decided to hurt other people, and these people happen to be in a church, and it's not the first time that that's happened either. People got really mad, and because they were sick of hearing, our prayers and thoughts are with you, which is sometimes always said, especially by our politicians or even other people. They're just, something happens and then they say, our prayers and thoughts are with you. Well, if we're saying those words and we don't have any conviction or belief behind them and we're not willing to take action on them, so forget about the politicians now, let's just go to ourselves. If we say a prayer, but we're not willing to take action from that place, then it's like, it's the old quote from the Bible again, faith without works is dead. So what happens is, I know this happens to me sometimes too. Let's say you're praying I'm praying for abundance in my life, all right? I want to experience more abundance in my life in all areas. And I'm praying and I'm treating for that. And then I get out of my prayer and the first thing I do is go, oh, well, that happened, so therefore I don't have abundance in my life. Some specific thing happens and then I've negated my prayer immediately. What does it mean to take action? It means to walk into life with that prayer, doing what you do, intuiting this is what we call spiritual social action. It's walking into life from a higher place and taking action from that higher place. Because a lot of times people will go running out into the world, angry, and then they wonder why more anger happens. I mean, I heard the first thing that's happened is the gun sales went up the next day. So to me, that says to me, I'm not against anyone having a gun, take my word. I'm not against it. I wouldn't have one, but I'm not against it. But what it says to me is the consciousness is not changed because everybody's still living in fear. So instead of knowing something else, everybody went out and bought a gun. Now, do I blame them? No, they're acting from the consciousness that they are. So it's where are we acting from? If we're praying for something, we have to act from that place. Does that make sense? Makes sense to me. In fact, Charles Fillmore said, so many people pray and pray and pray. They don't get action. They don't get action. Our bodies need to be acted upon. It's not altogether praying, but it is doing. You must do something. Like if I want something in my life, I can't just sit in a chair and say, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am health, I am health. It doesn't mean anything. I have to get up and start acting like health. I have to get up and do what I'm intuited to do to be more abundant. It's just, I have to take action, but not strained action, peaceful action, action from a higher place, action that's guarded and guided and directed by a spirit. So Ernest Holmes says prayer doesn't change God. It changes the one praying. Does that make sense? We can't do anything to God. For those of you who don't know this teaching, we don't even believe in an outside God. We believe that God is right here where we are, and we've said it a few times this morning. So we don't have to do anything to change God. God already is. God already is powerful. We are already powerful. We are already beautiful. All we have to do is change our minds. It's so simple. And I have proved it in my life over and over and over again, and I have not proved it. I've proved it by doing it incorrectly too. It's fail-proof. It is fail-proof. And if you feel like something in your life is not working and you've prayed about it, all we have to do is go back and start all over again. You didn't do anything wrong. You didn't think wrong. You just needed more time to get in touch. The biggest thing is getting in touch with the Spirit, communing with the Spirit. Ernest Holmes has this beautiful quote. There are no obstructions that one cannot dissipate by the power of truth. No obstructions. So we learn to go deeply within ourselves and speak as though there were a presence that knows. It is most worthwhile to commune with Spirit, to sense and to feel it. So that's where it all starts. like I talked about at the beginning, cause is spirit, cause is thinking from first cause. So one other thing I want to add to this is praying for other people. This is an interesting thing. In this teaching, we're taught as practitioners that we don't pray for other people unless they ask us to. And I totally get this, because how the heck would I ever know what somebody else was wanting or what was going on in their mind? And all of a sudden, I start praying for something that could be the worst thing for that person, right? So I'm getting in the way of their lives by doing it my way, the way I think that it should end up, or whatever. So we don't pray unless somebody asks us to. But if an ambulance is passing and somebody is in that ambulance, more than likely they're reaching out. So I don't pray for their healing. I pray that divine right action is in place and that their life is unfolding perfectly. And whatever that looks like to them, then it's done. But if I was to go, oh, well, you know, I pray that they're living, I pray that they're living, I pray, that is not my right to do that. And so anybody here that wants prayer, you pretty much have to ask for it. Otherwise, we're not going to come up to you and suppose that something's wrong with you and that we need to pray for you. You kind of have to ask us for it. And once you ask, it's done. We don't even, it's like the quote said, when you ask and you believe, you've asked. So more than likely, because you've asked, there's a place within you that knows that that's the truth. And so you've asked for it. So sometimes people will call, you know how like when you go to the doctor, you make the appointment, all of a sudden you start feeling better? Has that ever happened? It's happened to me, I know. So yeah, so once you've asked for it, all of a sudden you'll start to see things change. And that's the other thing. Trust that. Trust the things that are changing, that they are an answer to your prayer, instead of the opposite, because that negates the prayer too. If you say a prayer, if you affirm the truth about something, and then you understand that you're open and ready to receive that truth and to accept it in your life, and then things start to happen that maybe don't look the way you think they're supposed to look, if you can let go and realize that everything is an answer to your prayer, and then just go in and affirm again and ask to know more, because that's the other thing about this teaching, you know. I don't know what's good for you, so I don't know what's good for another person. All I know is that no matter who it is, that they're perfect. They're perfect in my mind, that abundance is what life is about. We're not put here to suffer. So I know that truth is that we are all loving beings. We are all here to express this power within us to the greatest possible expression that we can express it as, which is limitless. It's unlimited. So we're the ones that put the limit on spirit. There is no limit to spirit. So this is good news, though. This should not feel depressing or anything. It is good news. Because what I know from my life, that I've been able to get myself to a higher and higher place in my life by practicing it. And it's been a blessing beyond blessings. I changed my whole life by these teachings, by these ideas that I didn't have before, especially the idea that everything was right here within me. So I'm just going to read that quote one last time, because I think it's so good. Because if we could really believe that there are no obstructions, no matter what's in your life, there are no obstructions that cannot dissipate by the power of truth. So we learn to go deeply within ourselves and speak as though there were a presence there that knows. And there is a presence there that knows within each of us. It is most worthwhile, not just a little worthwhile, but most worthwhile to commune with spirit, to sense and to feel it. That's really what this is all about. So, happy praying. Namaste. Thank you, Maria.
back from where we've been. And if we fall in, lifting us up again, 'cause we can make it through anything. There's healing that grace can bring within this love that is everything. Always giving and forgiving. If we can be one with the sun, the moon, and the stars, can't we just be the love we are? We've already made it this far. Let's surrender to all that we are. What more is it to ask for if we've already got it all? What more is it to ask for if we've already got it all? There's peace in this. It starts on the inside. Where love lives, why do we ever hide? If we're really what we've been waiting for, what could be better? What more is it to ask for if we've already got it all?
Mahalo. What a great segue, right? What if we already got it all? Then I could sit down. But won't. But won't. Wow. Yeah. Just a little side note that kind of segues in. I don't know if you remember last year, I think it was, we had a chalker in town that was writing positive notes all around, like on the Kaua'i path, and it was quite exciting. I did find out who that chalker was, Michael Fox, but that was them. But now Michael Fox and Carrie Fox no longer live here, so there's a new chalker in town. And they're writing, I don't know if you noticed it in the parking lot, if you came in on the bottom, there's all these wonderful positive prayers going on. And yesterday I went running on the Kaua'i path, and I ran into Katie Welch, member here, and she said, "Oh my gosh, look ahead. There's this wonderful stuff going on." I mean, it was a lot of writing. Did anybody see it? Did anybody see it out there? If you get it on Facebook, if you follow me. But what I got out of it was, that was a prayer. It said things like, if you can't talk it, walk it. Don't let anyone tell you who you are. And out in the parking lot, there was one that said, anger is love that is disappointed. And I want to talk to you about perception, because prayer is a perception as well. We all have our ideas about it. And it was interesting because I talked to Rob, I'll pull him out, he doesn't mind. But he said, I really loved what was out there except for that disappointed word out there. And that was a perception, right? Because there was a whole sentence that went with it. That anger is love that is disappointed. But it was down a little ways. So we only saw the disappointment. Great metaphor. Thank you, Rob. And that's exactly what, Rob goes, thank you, we'll talk later. There's nothing like bringing somebody else into it, you know? And I really saw that yesterday, and what really hit me was I ran into a woman, not literally, but I ran into her, I said, isn't this wonderful? I was like a little, look, you know, snap, snap, Facebook, you know, and she said, yeah. And it wasn't I had any judgment about it, but I was thinking that she wasn't quite as excited as me. But you know, and here we go. I wasn't in her mind. How do I know what went on? How do I know what she was figuring out while I was jumping up and down like a child. And I looked and I said, all in the perception. And I said, this is a prayer, and we are constantly praying. I remember as a kid, I prayed like this. Oh, like looking up. I never saw anything, by the way, but I was always looking up because that's what the saints were doing. They were glowing and they had stuff around their head, and it was like very, very powerful for me to look. And I just went, that's how you do it. And then there's other prayers like us. We pray together, right? And then there's that other prayer that goes, help. Have you ever gotten to that point in prayer? When you're like, I'd love to do the 5 steps, but I got to go right to the cross. Help. I have nowhere to go. And just then it's beautiful because it's called surrender. And like Rita said, we do not have, from where my belief system is, I do not have an outside God that I pray to, which sometimes, to be quite honest with you, I kind of miss Santa Claus. I actually do miss that outside God. And if you have an outside God, please, please, no one is here to take away anybody's God. No one's God, because that's yours. And it's ours, and it's collective. This is the word I pray from, a God that is universal presence, an impersonal observer, a divine and impartial giver, forever pouring itself into creation. I am that creation. You are that creation. That's the kind of power we have. We have the power to pray. And boy, it takes some time, doesn't it, to kind of see where you're at with prayer. I know prayer is sometimes like the word God turns people off. I'm sure I'll get a few either online or here that says, prayer kind of turns me off. And I get that, because we all relate something to the past, to where we are now. But I'm saying that prayer for me is the word, is the power that I have. To not say, oh my God, wish. Oh my God, I hope. And hope is good. Oh my gosh, hope is wonderful. It sure is a heck of a lot better than despair. But hope for me just means that it might or might not happen. And so I've lived a lot of my time in hope. This week was very difficult for me because I even went to my prayer partner. I went to my prayer partner that is in California, and I said, I need a treatment from you. Not about money, not about anything, not the usual 4 corners. I need to know what to say tomorrow in a world that right now is in a lot of doubt, especially after, if you haven't heard, the 27 people that were killed in a church, in a gathering. Then I get the emails, Reverend Patrick, are you scared? Yeah, for a moment. Am I sad that somebody was in such pain that they walked in and killed 27 people? Yeah, and wounded the rest? Yeah. Be an ambassador of good that I believe that I signed up for doesn't mean that I don't get to have pain. That doesn't mean that I don't feel. It's a sad mistake if anyone thinks that this philosophy that I believe in 100% says to me that I don't get to feel because I signed up to be an ambassador of good. And I'm not letting go of my ambassadorship either. Because somebody's got to go first. And those people, and it's interesting, I actually sent this quote on Facebook, and I got a post from someone I don't know, from Texas, of course. But if you're going to be a spiritual leader and you're going to put yourself out there, you got to be ready to hear what you hear. And she wrote to me, and she wanted to know, what would your Ernest Holmes say about this? Because this is what Ernest Holmes said. What would he say about the 27 people that now are gone from this realm of being? And it made me, what was beautiful about it is I was allowed to know where I'm praying from again. It's great to know what Ernest Holmes would say, but Ernest Holmes isn't here. And if you ever read what he said when he was leaving, he said he's not coming back. And he said, if anybody channels me and says, I'm Ernest Holmes, run for the door. Because I ain't coming back. He did what he needed to do. So I was more interested in what Patrick believed. But I had to go a little bit through Ernest Holmes. Where am I praying from? What am I praying for? And it took me a moment, and I just realized that if Ernest Holmes was standing there, he'd be very, very, very sad. He also would be in shock that we're still doing it. Because he has had and has such high regard for what we are. So I don't have the luxury as an ambassador for good, and either do you, because I believe we're all ambassadors of good at one time or another. I don't have the luxury, I have the right to cry my heart out. And I'm not afraid to stand in front of you, as I have many times, and shown who I am. But I'll tell you one thing I am not willing to give up. I am not willing to give up my faith in all of us. I am not willing to give up the absolute truth and the absolute knowing that we are good. If Anne Frank could stand there in the middle of the Holocaust and could say that people are genuinely good, and that's all I care to see, then we have the opportunity today to feel and to see the same thing. I was out at Kauai, a popular place, and this week, and these people came up and they said, isn't that awful? You're a minister. What do you think? That's, I should never say Reverend Patrick when I'm out there, but they said, I want to know what you think. And I said, look out at that beautiful ocean right there. Look at that. Do you think those 27 people, and not just them, we have a whole world filled with stuff we can talk about. Do you think that they would not say, look at that ocean, breathe in life, celebrate prayer? And this is a wonderful one from somebody I just found, Pooja Ruprel. Does anybody know who she is? She says, get crazy in prayer. Have you ever been crazy in prayer? Or have you been so crazy you think you need to pray? Yes, on all accounts. She says, get crazy in prayer. Ask for the seemingly impossible. Then watch it happen. Do not make judgments on what you are worthy of. Save the practicality for other aspects of your life. Get crazy. Wow. I thought, what does that look like to get crazy in prayer? With my crazy eyes that I'm sure are all over that film. Get crazy. It means get excited, get enthusiastic because your prayers are answered. I've said this many times. I'm sure whether or not the story is true or not, it is still a story. But I'm sure that Jesus did not stand in front of Lazarus' tombs like this, crossing his fingers, hoping it would happen. Went in knowing. That's the glory of prayer. The glory. Yes. That's where I go after I cry and I say, oh my God, if that happened to anyone that I know, if it happened to my beloved, if it happened, oh my God, the pain. But then I go deeper and deeper and deeper into the wonderful, wonderful, soothing, soothing energy of love. And it says, hold tight, I'm here. Hold tight, I'm here. And that's what I know for those beautiful people who, I just read something, I don't watch a lot of news for this reason lately, but they said, I wish the media would go away. I need to mourn. I need to grasp this. So this philosophy and this teaching never says, get over it, get through it. They need time. And it happened in a church, my friends. So that put a whole nother thing on that. Well, I was in the house of God. That's what I was in the house of God. Look what happened. Oh, do you think God is so limited that it lives in just one place? It lives in each one of those 27 people and all their family and all of us. A lot of times in this philosophy on Sundays, people spiritually bypass a little bit, because we've come to remember, I am magnificent. And we are. That's what's going to get us through, by the way. Anything that you're going through, and I know that there are people in this room going through things that feel just as horrifying. And that there is a bottom that Spirit holds for us. So when we pray, I pray from. So what am I praying for? I say, oh, I pray from. What a great feeling, right? So the next time something does come up for any of us, we're all here with a big challenge, but let's get crazy, man. Let's start jumping up and down. We're alive. And we have so much to give. So much to give. Pooja, who I'm just totally into today, says, look for excuses to celebrate others, and life will find a way to celebrate you. Make your life a prayer, and be the light that touches lives far, wide, and beyond. So that's where I'm leaving us today, with this understanding. Yeah, you felt the emotion, right? That's what we're about. We're about feeling. But when we can get crazy with prayer to say, you know what? All things are possible. And it was done before I even thought it. There's a box back there that we have we say request, and it's really not a request because it's already done for prayer for something you're going through. And I'm always just, it's so wonderful, because by the time you put it in the box, it's done. And it says, well, I don't really see that, but it is. How are you? There's something about that. Sometimes we just need to say, how you doing? Have you ever felt that? How are you? And here's one little FYI for you. When we call you, it's not to find out where you were on our calendar of Sunday gatherings. We don't do that. Actually, Rita and I almost do it to fall. When we call you to see how you're doing, it's because if a family member goes missing, you call to find out where they are. And that's what you are. We're family here. We have to look out for one another because we can. And if it's too much, you say, you're in my space, man. It's okay. But wouldn't you rather have, because Rita and I were talking about it, said it's interesting when you're kind of ma and pa of a spiritual community, how sometimes by doing that it's not enough, and then by sometimes doing it it's too much. And so bless us while we're in the midst of our figuring out how we dance in this community. But in the meantime, I know that we can all pray from that place of love. I love you. Today, this energy has now went and settled to whoever, wherever needs us. So I would like to pray in this moment. I've been guided to do that from that place inside. So what I know is that prayer is the word of good, the word of God. And that is what I speak from right here, right now. I get out of the way and I let that spirit, that life force that created all things and continues to create, yes, and birth everything. What I know is that there is a power that is in this room, an atmosphere that has been created by the very, very source and love of each and every one of us. And I just say thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to love, this opportunity to feel, this opportunity to get crazy in prayer. Wow. And I know that this prayer is a walking demonstration in every moment, that there is not a time that is set up for prayer, that we are the prayer. And the moment that our thought goes toward anything, that there is a birthing that has taken place. So I am so grateful for each and every one of us for coming here on purpose to hear what we needed to hear, to feel what we needed to feel, to say what we needed to say, and to know that, there is a hope. And beyond the hope is a knowing that no matter what shows up, it is God looking at God. So I say thank you. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. Mahalo, say it with me, mahalo. And so it is. Namaste.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. I'm gone at the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. Look all around, nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, 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 sunshiny day.
Another beautiful segue there, Maria.
Thank you, Maria, for
you.
picking the most perfect songs today. Thank you. Thank you. So before we do our giving, I wanted to say a few words, and I'm going to ask the Board of Trustees to come up here, those that are here. Deborah, Valentina, and Roseanne, I think, are the only ones here. The other Board of Trustees, well, that's not true, Patrick and I, we founded this church 4 years ago, this center, whatever you want to call it. Some people don't like to call it a church. I mean, it's registered with the government as a church, so. But the center 4 years ago, and we also have 2 other board members that live off island that founded the center with us, Joan and Richard Morgan and then Michelle LeMay. So there's 7 of us. So we're going into our giving intention for 2018. And the reason we're doing this is because we have to put a budget together for next year, and we have to have a general idea of how much. I mean, we know we're infinite, but what some idea of what we think might be coming in, and then know that that's always more than that. So you might have gotten a letter from us already, a great big thank you letter for 2017, because we're having a really, really amazing year on that level, and a letter that talks about that for 2018. But if you haven't gotten it and you would like to be part of this giving intention for 2018, you can talk to these people here. And I left some letters out in the foyer there if you want to pick one up and you didn't get one. So I have to say that this, and I know Patrick agrees with me, that this has been an amazing year, and that we are so grateful for all the giving, both talent and finances, and just your very consciousness here. And I believe that when we have created a space here where people, that we don't have to do everything, that people here meet, they network with each other, they love each other, they take care of each other, and that's really what this is all about. So when you give, that's what you're giving for. You're giving for the success of the center and the continuous expansion and growth and moving toward that vision that we have in the foyer. Really, that's what it's all about. But right now, we're just going to stay right here and right now and give from this place of love and this place of gratitude. So if you
And,
turn to,
can I
yes.
just say, it's
Yeah.
been brought to my attention that a lot of people about the tax deduction thing, just real quickly, that what you put in there, they say, well, I've been putting in, but if we don't have your name, we can't make the tax deduction, and everything, because it is a nonprofit, is tax deductible. So if you are putting something in, you do want a tax, just write your name on the envelope.
Right. We send letters out at the beginning of the year
Right.
for your tax purposes that say what you gave for this year so you can deduct it. So,
Absolutely.
But again, like you said, if your name's not in it, we can't. All right. So let's bring ourselves right here and right now, turn to our programs, and read our affirmation. Let's just do it together. I freely and joyously give from the abundance and fullness of my overflowing wealth, knowing my gift goes with love as it touches and blesses Center for Spiritual Living, Kauai, my life and the world. And so it is.
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Roseanne
Thank
and
you.
Deborah, for serving too. I think
pray
we're ready
like
for a little
crazy.
song here.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, God gives me everything I need. Joy is my source, joy is my power, joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source, peace is my power, peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, peace gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, love gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, love gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings, love gives me everything I need.
So, we give thanks for all of our blessings, and all of these pieces of paper in these baskets represents energy and love. And thank you, mahalo, mahalo, for all of these gifts, and knowing that it all goes to support CSL and goes beyond CSL into the world. Mahalo, thank you with a grateful heart. I release this and say, and so it is.
All
All right. Thank you, everyone. Mahalo from our hearts. And I think we have some children today.
We do.
With George. Look at them all.
Is
We
that
need we're gonna have to
Itukai
get a
I
song to
see
bring
at
him
the
in with?
beginning of this?
Itukai.
Oh, that is the coolest shirt. Uh-huh. I love it.
Hello, everybody. Come on up. All right. All right, so come over
Yes,
here. You want to
come
be on
over
this
with
side?
Rita.
Come over next to me.
He was jealous of all the attention we were getting.
She
From the
accused me
mouths
of
of
doing that on
babes.
purpose. Anyway, they were doing some hearts and they were doing some butterflies and stuff. And what do you have to say there, Ruby?
Nothing?
Anyway, they're the greatest kids in the world.
Let's tell them what we think. Ready?
It's in the program.
Yeah, it's in your program. You know.
Rita
I'll just
just takes
repeat
it for
after me.
granted that you know
You
all-
are amazing. You are perfect. You are magnificent. And we love you. And you too. Walk that way, George. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Give it up for him. Give it up.
All right. What else? So if all the practitioners could come up that are here to serve today. Reverend Diane Decker. Roseanne, are you serving today? Yes, you are. You're here. Okay. And anybody else? That's it? Okay, so we have two. Oh, Rob. He'll be up in 4 minutes after he uploads the video. Okay, so what this is all about, if you haven't been here before, is that these people, these beautiful practitioners, will hold consciousness for you, will treat for you. If you have something specific you want to experience in your life, they'll tell you a little bit more about spiritual mind treatment, and they will gift you with a spiritual mind treatment. So please take advantage of them. They are wonderful and amazing, both of them. And okay, so I think that's it. Yes? All right, so we're ready to close. So let's get up.
We are. So let's get up on our feet with our magnificence and our crazy praying.
Remember just who you are. Oh, remember you're a being of the stars. Oh, remember the wisdom within. Oh, remember all the joy you can bring. Oh, remember to bring forth peace on earth. Oh, remember all that you are worth. Oh, remember all that you know. Remember seeds take time to grow. Remember, remember all that you are. Remember, remember, remember the power of love.
And we take this moment to remember the power of love, the power of prayer, the power of who each and every one of us is in every moment. To remember that power that not only do we know about, but we get to use. And that is the blessing right here. I am so grateful in this moment to remember that there is a power for good in the universe, and we get to use it because we are it. And that is gratitude overpouring. And also with gratitude, I'd like to thank those wonderful duo for doing the announcements today, that Rita and Patrick, who took over for Michelle. And the wonderful Malama team today. It's Deb, Angela, and Anna. We are so blessed to have you greeting and just taking our doorway and allowing it to shine. And we have our wonderful sound back there with Jonathan, who just lights up this room so we can hear clearly. Not only see clearly, but speaking of seeing clearly, we got Rob, who is on the camera allowing the people off the island to see clearly and to remember their truth, their power. And we have Ron Stover in the back getting all that little yum-yums ready for us. And yeah, he's there, purple shirt and all. And purple shirt will be at the bookstore if you want one that looks just like his. It's right there at our Open Heart Bookstore, which is ran by Roseanne, who's also doing practitioner work. It's just one big fiesta today. And Maria Christina, mahalo for the perfection that you are. And that wonderful Luis that's next to him, keeping the heartbeat going. Thank you, Luis. And Janice over here, and George in the wonderful youth center. And I just want to thank each and every one of you that have taken the opportunity and the time to walk through our doors and bring in your consciousness today to uplift this planet. And as always, I bless this wonderful, wonderful co-spiritual director, Reverend Rita. And because I don't need anyone to say it, I bless myself. I am grateful for Patrick and grateful for this center and just grateful for all of the love in the planet and of the planet. And I just say yes. Pray like crazy, my friends, as together we say, and so it is.
Remember just who you are. Oh, remember you're a being of the stars. Oh, remember the wisdom within. Oh, remember all the joy you can bring. Oh, remember to support peace on earth. Oh, remember all that you are worth. Oh, remember all that you know. Remember seeds take time to grow. Remember all that you are. Remember, remember, remember the power of love. The power of love.
I think you're getting the hang of this.